Hello Tacticians, it's Nox here, and because the Boosts tournament is later this week, I'm going to be going over my picks for the characters to use in the tournament. But first, I want to say thank you to XenoQueen800, Drop Table Player 3582, Robert, Corn for Corn, Digit, Kogels84, Argundus, Jimmy T, Uchpa, FKFCE, Multi of Meal, Fernando, Red Wraith, Commander of Nod, and Lord Adamus, because you have all used my friend code. So thank you very much for your support. It really does mean a lot to me. Before we get into my picks, I've unlocked the Tyrant Guard. Fairly easy unlock. He unlocks at 2-star. And, well, at the moment, he's not going to be doing much because I don't have any equipment to give him additional defense. He's also only at uncommon, and I do like playing the TAs at rare. So this is one character we will return to in a future TA. But now, let's have a look at my picks for the Boosts Tournament Arena. I've now split this into two graphics because it was getting a bit crowded on one. But for the Boosts, let's start with the Overwatch. Everyone uses them, everyone loves and hates them, and Calendis is there at the top, especially for Boosts. His ability to move, grab a power-up, shoot, and then move and possibly grab another power-up again is, well, second to none, and as such, Calendis is at the top. And you may notice Ravas is equal to Sarkwell. Now, the reason for this, everyone knows how good Ravas is. The problem is, everyone also knows Thaddeus is a very good counter, and with Thaddeus' range of 3, Ravas very rarely nowadays gets to do his thing. Now, the main point of Ravas nowadays is actually being able to deploy those drones because they will pick up that power-up, which will deny the enemy the use of it, which is great. Sarkwell, however, has got that range of 3. And I found out a very nice thing about him the other day, because I just got mine to Legendary. He can equip the Heavenfall Blade, which is a 40% crit rate item. This really notches him up in the damage department, and if you obviously get the damage power-ups or the additional hits, he's almost doing as much damage as Calendis there, and when you take into account he's got a better pierce ratio than Calendis against the heavier armour units, he might even be better. However, he doesn't have the additional movement, but he does have an AoE. So he is definitely up there and one to consider if you are getting a bit bored of using Ravas. With all this said, do not forget Certus. He can certainly dish out a decent amount of damage, and his active ability has got a higher pierce ratio too. So if you're new to the game, Certus is still a very good option to have, just not the top one. Moving on to the AoE section. Here, these characters can do massive amounts of damage to multiple hexes at a time, and unsurprisingly, you've got Marnius Calgar at the top with Thaddeus. Now, bear in mind with Thaddeus, he has got a range of 3, which has got the suppression, so don't feel the need to use his AoE immediately. You have got time. Obviously, having said that, if he is in a very risky position, say there's a Calendis breathing down his neck, you will want to use that active sooner rather than later. Marnius Calgar, on the other hand, with all his armour, can probably just walk into the middle of things and take a bit of a beating and then still deal out the damage he can do. Vindicta is another good choice, and with the addition of another character to the game, who we will see a bit later, she may actually be tipping into the amazing section. But time's going to tell, and the other character has only just been released. And finally, Morven Val. I've only just got this character myself, and you don't really see her that much in TA. But with the boosts, she really does come into her own because of her additional toughness and the fact she can hit multiple enemies in combat with her. In the stealth section, we have Jane Zar at the top. Now, she is a very, very good character to have. She has a movement of 4, has stealth, so she can run up to people like Calendis, Ravas, Sarkwell, and, well, give them a good old beating. There is only one problem. She is very much a glass cannon. Do not run her in until you're ready to lay down that damage. You charge her in too soon, even if she's got the shield from the power-up, she is going to die very quickly. So for all you players who have just unlocked her and probably got her just the right level to use her in the TA, be aware, she is good, but she's not invincible. Moving on to Sybil, another great character to have, especially if you're fed up of facing all those Overwatch characters. Anyone next to her will gain her passive bonus, which not only gives them infiltrate, which means they're happy to run up and hit people in the face without getting shot, they will also have less damage taken from every single hit until the next turn. Great combination to have. Again, she suffers the same issue that Jane Zar does. She will go down if she gets hit too hard. In contrast, you've got the other character here, which is Shadow Sun. She's got decent armour, she can teleport anywhere on the battlefield, which is next to another one of your characters, and lay down a lot of damage. This can mean, if she is lucky enough to get a damage power up or additional hits, you get the higher ground because you're teleporting to where you need to be, and you unleash a hail of damage onto whoever she's targeting. And she will drop a drone, which will give your other Tau units extra hits and damage, and finally she's got the armour to make sure she can take a few hits even if she is left in the open. Now I want to have a nice little shout out to Shark. Okay, he has a normal knife which he takes into combat with him, which isn't great if you're going up against the likes of Marnius Calgar. However, if you're going up against other characters such as Jane Zar, such as Thaddeus, any Psyker, he will make very short work of them. The other thing to think about is that grappling hook of his. He can run and use his grappling hook to move another one of their characters into range. Now, yes, there is the problem that he's going to be left out in no man's land and, well, things may not go so smoothly for him, but if you can get rid of one of their main characters by using this guy, it might be worth considering if you're a fan, or if you're having problems against some of the characters we're about to talk about. And that's the buffing section. At the top is Ornn Shi. Now, if you thought Calendis moving twice once in a game is good, well, what if he did it again? Or what about Marnius Calgar's AoE? Or Ray Vass's putting down drones and going to Overwatch? Yep, with Ornn Shi, they can do it twice. And to be frank, he's a great character to put in, just because of his passive buffs as well, which will give you damage reduction for one turn, it'll increase your damage on another, and in fact give you an additional movement on the third. He's not a character to be overlooked, and he can do decent damage in melee as well. Now obviously he doesn't have any ranged capability, but quite a few of the characters we've talked about so far don't either. Moving on to other buffs, which are becoming less common, we've got Eldrin, who is absolutely fantastic in guild raids. However, he has got a certain position in the TAs. If you're putting down characters with multiple hits, and you really want to make sure you put the damage through to the enemy, he's one that can work for you. And bear in mind, his active gets stronger for every turn that goes by. The final one is Makatep. Now, way back when in the mists of time, he used to be the one that everybody used. That additional movement is very handy, but there's no guarantee he's going to be where you want him to be. But if you're only just starting the game, he is definitely a character you can use to try and surprise your opponent. And now on to the summoning. Well, as you can see, this is the reason why it's getting crowded. At the top we have Celestine. Quite frankly, if you haven't come across her in the TA, you are very, very lucky. And if you have come across her, you know why she's at the top. Great damage, great survivability, and summons when she gets hit. What's not to like? Then you have Sho Sil and Archimatos. Both of these characters are great. Sho Sil, if left unchecked, will have those drones running across the board, 3 extra shots maximum each turn, and will cause you nightmares. He is one of those characters you need to take care of quickly. Archimatos is pretty much the same. If he's within range and your character has got enough hexes around him, you're looking at 5 bloodletters being summoned. And trust me, you do not want to let them run amok. The same can be said for Aleph Null, although not as popular as he used to be because of the fact that the Scarabs after the first turn no longer have piercing damage. Having said that, Aleph Null can actually now heal them, and again, like the previous 2 I've mentioned, left unchecked, it's a nightmare. And finally, at about the same level as Aleph Null, we have Abraxas. Now, if you can run him in and there's enough space around, you are looking at not only spawning 1 Pink Horror, but maybe 2 or 3 Screamers of Tzeentch as well. And again, like I said with Archimatos, you do not want to leave these unchecked. You're going to want someone with AoE to take care of them all quickly. And at the bottom we have the usual three of Yarrick, Creed and Bellator. Now, I say they're okay. If you don't have the others, these guys are great to put in. All three have summons which can attack the same units, which can put real pressure on your opponent. The downside is their summons aren't quite as powerful as the other ones we've seen. Now we've got the best of the rest. Ulf. He is a great character to have. He is up there with Jane Czar, except he doesn't have stealth and he only moves 3. But the amount of damage this guy puts out in combat is insane. He will wreck a lot of people's faces just with his axe, or they forget that he uses his axe on the summons, or when they use a special ability, which means those bloodletters which we were talking about a moment before run up to Ulf and die. Or they go up to Ulf and think, I'm going to use my special now, and Ulf again chops them in the face. Great character, really highly recommended. And I've put Arjak in here because if you want someone to get in the way and block an area, there's no one better than Arjak. Now, the thing is, we're not controlling points here, so he's not so great. However, if you are starting to pull ahead, or some of your characters have already been killed, throw his hammer at someone and watch them disappear. It's good for grabbing another point if you're about to lose, or for finishing someone off when you're about to win. And now for the ones to watch. These are the ones I've not yet seen in TA, but I think they've definitely got some promise. And at the top there is Ahriman. Pair him with Vindicta and watch how much damage this guy does. It is a scary proposition. This guy is definitely got the potential to be lethal in TAs. The same can be said for Thormachus. Now, the reason why he is here, again, a great one to pair with Ahriman, because he has a flame attack. But the reason why you may see him in TA is his arcane shield. So after moving, Thormachus will shield the closest friendly unit within 2 hexes. Is this shield enough to protect your weaker characters, such as Jane Czar, so they can really live up to their potential? Until I've used him or seen him in the TA, I don't know. But I don't think he's going to be amazing, but he's certainly going to be one of those characters that could really be used in a team to good effect. The same can be said about the Tyrant Guard we are all unlocking now. I don't think it's very likely we will see many of these in TA at all. There could well be a few at common and uncommon, but I don't think at rare you'll see very many. However, I could easily be wrong, but the reason why he's in here at the sort of middling level is because of that ability that I showed in my character preview, where he will protect the characters next to him as long as he is within synapse range or doesn't move. So that leads us nicely on to the Neurothrope. I've only seen him once or twice in TA, and he is a character that will benefit from having other psychers such as Ahriman in the midst to make sure that the neuroparasites start creeping up. Trust me, even Marnius Calgar wouldn't want a couple of those neuroparasites scuttling around his brain. He is also another character who's got a range 3 suppressive attack. This is very much like Thaddeus. The only problem here over Thaddeus is he's only got 2 movement rather than 3, and of course he doesn't have Thaddeus's AoE ability. So he is being placed at okay, but if the Tyrant Guard is good, this guy is also going to be good to help him out. Who am I considering using for the PvP for the boosts? This will be my lineup. We'll have Calendis and Sarquil as my snipers and long-range support. Thaddeus is there to provide the suppression, and Ulf will be my frontline hitter, with Archimatos providing backup with all the bloodletters. There is a chance, of course, I will substitute Ulf for Jane Czar, Archimatos for Abraxas, as I do like to mix it up just a little bit. But I will make sure I post some of my battles on the YouTube just so you can see how well or poorly that I actually do. And lastly, if you or your guild are looking for a new home, please feel free to reach out to any of the guilds shown. We have currently got space and we are more than happy to welcome a new guild into our midst. Also, if you like the content I do, please consider using my friend code because it really does help us all out. And as always, I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.